Welcome to Ghost Education 101, where curiosity meets experience and the doors to the entire paranormal landscape are finally open. Hosted by Dr. Heather Leigh and Dr. Tiffany Frazier, this series is built for everyone who wants to understand the unexplained the right way. Whether you're just stepping into the unknown or you've been investigating for years, this is the place where you can sharpen your approach, deepen your understanding, and cut through the misconceptions that have overrun this field for far too long. Each episode walks you through the full spectrum of paranormal activity. Classic hauntings, intelligent spirits, cryptids, elemental beings, poltergeist phenomena, and the modern challenges investigators face today. We break it all down. The science, the method, and the mystery, without dumbing it down and without drifting into theatrics. Grounded in research, history, and real-world investigation, Ghost Education 101 is your classroom, your laboratory, and your gateway into the most compelling unexplained experiences on record. Learn, question, discover. Welcome to Ghost Education 101. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. Heather Leigh and Dr. Tiffany Frazier.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you once again for joining us here at Ghost Education 101. It is just me. Heather got caught up with a family emergency, so everything's fine. She's fine, but she is an hour away from home, so she's trying to get back, and hopefully she'll be able to pop in here in a little bit, but I told her to take her time and just drive safe. So we have a great show planned for you all tonight. We have Rick Waid here, and he is going to talk all things psychic abilities and mediumship. So I'm going to pull him in here, and we're going to get started. Hi, Waid. Sorry. Hi, Rick. I'm sorry.
Wade's fine too. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing
You
great.
have that name. It can go either way. Wade is a great first name too. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, doing good, doing good.
Awesome. Awesome. So right before we came on, you said that you refer to yourself as the seer. Tell us about that, and also tell everybody about yourself too and how you got started.
Well, I started out in the paranormal field first.
Mm.
That was my first obsession. I wrote about that in my first book, My Paranormal Journey, One Man's Obsession. After working in the field for a certain period of time, I was guided to do something else. And that was to be able to see into the future or to be able to see into people's lives. That's how I first started. I started connecting with people's things around people's energy, like things in their room or things they had for breakfast or things they were talking about. This is what was being shown to me. After I got out of the paranormal, I wasn't out of the paranormal, but I was kind of mellowing out from the paranormal because I was messing with a lot of things that I felt that was kind of dragging me down. So I started seeing things around people, like just for instance, let's say I would actually take my audio recorder, my favorite audio recorder, and I would actually list 5 things or say 5 things on the recorder. Like, for instance, I would see at my next job site, I would see a circle, half moon shaped driveway, and in the middle I would see a statue of Jesus. So on the recorder I would say that, and then like an hour later I'd drive and go to the next house, and there was that driveway and there was that statue of Jesus. So, which is kind of crazy, right? So I was kind of like seeing the future. That's what I was doing, and at the time I didn't know what it was. I had no clue what it was until I got on it was like a big page before Facebook and MySpace and stuff. There was a lot of internet pages, and one was called Unexplained Mysteries. So I on that page, and I said, listen, let me see what's around you, or let me connect with what's around you. And I had just to put a post up there, and people would come and say, hey, what do you see? What do you see? And they would just ask me to connect with them. And the thing is, what's interesting about it, back in those days, nobody had their face on that page. Right. It was an image, a fake name. Nobody put the right information on there. So I was honestly connecting with their energy.
Mhm.
So it was kind of cool to be able to see things about people and hear things. I was able to hear things and see things. And the reason why I had this interesting hearing is because I had Bell palsy when I was younger.
Mm.
I lost the hearing. I didn't really lose the hearing, but I was having issues with my left ear, and I was putting peroxide in it, and it was causing some issues with me leaving it in there too long. So I ended up going to the doctor, and they ended up fixing me up. They gave me like a special hearing once they fixed me up. Gave me some
Mm.
pills to make me grow my muscles or whatever heck's in my ears. I don't know exactly what's in there, but it helped me to grow it back. And what it is, gave me a special hearing, so I could hear a different frequency than most people. And this
Mm.
is what was so cool about the paranormal was I was able to hear a frequency from a 13-year-old person hearing something, and then my normal 35 in my right ear. So it's kind of cool. Whenever I used to go ghost hunting, I could hear a frequency, a spirit talking to me that would actually communicate with probably a young kid. And then I couldn't hear it on my right ear, but only in my left ear. So that was my first little obsession about that. But to get out of that, what I was basically able to do was now able to hear and able to see things. And like I said, I didn't know what it was. So I read like probably hundreds and hundreds of people on this page. And it was fun. It was exciting. There was always skeptics. Everywhere you go, there is a skeptic. And
Yeah.
that's cool. I like skeptics, you know. They always battled me. They always wanted to try to tell me what I was doing, try to downplay what was happening to me. And honestly, I didn't care because I was just having fun. But what was going on was later on, somebody told me, what you're doing is remote viewing. And I'm like to myself, what the heck's remote viewing? I didn't know. I had to look it up. But that's what I was doing. I was actually seeing something in another place, in another time, or another state, or another country, in my own basement. I was able to see these things through
Mhm.
my and through their mind, almost to a point where at one point I thought I was actually reading people's minds. I didn't know what exactly was going on, but I was actually just connecting with their energy, almost to a point where I call myself a seer. I could see through their eyes. So whenever there was something in front of them, I might be able to see through their eyes and see what's in front of them. So that
Mhm.
was kind of cool to be able to do that. But that was how I started my seer journey.
Awesome. Okay. That's awesome. And it's so interesting that you say that you experienced remote viewing just in your house, because I think a lot of people, when they think of remote viewing, they might automatically think of the government and, all of the projects that they did with remote viewing and stuff like that. I think that's what a lot of people might gravitate to off the bat. But um remote viewing, I think, is a topic that isn't spoken about as much as I think it should be.
Correct. Correct. And the thing is, let's think about it. Are we remote viewing? Now, people, are we remote viewing? Am I really reading somebody's mind?
Mhm.
Am I getting this ability from a higher spirits or guardians or angels? Where am I getting the information? How am I getting the information?
Mhm.
So I would practice this stuff and practice and practice and practice. And my gifts slowly started changing. I could see objects around people. Then all of a sudden I started reading past lives. So I just started seeing things in past lives for people. People would come to me for a past life reading. So now I was reading objects around people or seeing things around people and then reading past lives, which is
Mhm.
really kind of cool. I was throwing stuff out there and it was connecting with people on a level that was kind of freaking them out. I read one lady. I said, you, I keep hearing the name Annie Oakley. I put down a date, a born when the person was born, a date when they had passed. I told her this individual that I'm seeing was very good with shooting, very good, an expert with a gun. I just felt that the person I was reading was connected to Annie Oakley, like part of Annie Oakley's energy or something.
Mhm.
So maybe her past life. So she sent over a picture and she said, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "Why?" She said, "In my living room, I have a 3x5 portrait of Annie Oakley. I'm obsessed with Annie Oakley. I'm excellent with a gun. I mean, I know all about Annie Oakley. All the stuff that you're hitting on, exactly. I know this stuff because I really feel I was part of Annie Oakley." And
Mm.
so how cool is that to be able to
Mm.
connect on that level?
Yeah, that's awesome. What's the most difficult part about, because you said you do, now you mentioned this on the panel that you were on a couple months back. You do gallery readings, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what's the most difficult part about doing a gallery reading, or doing a reading for anybody in general, especially if the person or people tend to be more of the skeptic?
Well, I used to be nervous,
Hmm.
but I've done over 14,000 readings,
Oh, wow.
so it's nothing to me anymore. So I can go into anywhere and connect. What's interesting about my gift and my ability is I always have this fear I'm not going to connect.
Mm,
That's actually good to have. I don't go around saying, hey, I'm 100% reader like some people do. I never get anything wrong. I'm amazing. I don't do that. I always tell people, listen, I'm going to try to make a connection. Hopefully we'll make a connection.
yeah.
If we don't, then it was not meant to happen. But I rarely do not, I really do not, I rarely miss. In other words, I rarely miss, but I do connect on a level. But the thing is, what's so cool about connecting on a level I do is, like I call myself a seer. Many years ago when I first started, I would only read one person a day
Mm,
because I thought that's all I was supposed to do. I was nervous. I was scared. I would read one person a day. And then I had a show of my own and I had a shaman come on and he said, listen, Rick, this is what you're going to do. I see it. I said, what do you see? He said, you're going to be able to read 5, 10, 20, 30 in a row. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. So all of a sudden, yeah, years later, that's what I do. I read 25 to 30 at an event. And the thing is, I go from one person to the next person to the next person. And what's unique about me now, I used to have like a little handicap where I would actually take an actual ticket. I give everybody a ticket. I wouldn't call it a handicap, but it was just the way I did things. So I would actually draw out the ticket 101. I would walk to that person. I would have them come up and I would connect with that person. It's a different way, a unique way.
mhm.
No readers do that. You know what I mean? Usually they'll pick up something here, pick up something there, or somebody come through here. I don't do that. I'm a direct connect reader. So it's kind of cool to be able to actually draw that ticket, pick that person, and go read that person. Well, I don't have to do that anymore with the tickets. I just go and just start connecting whatever I want to do.
I
Uh,
see.
and I'm never drawn anywhere. I don't
Mhm,
see energies. I don't see any spirits. I don't see your loved ones. I don't see any of that stuff. Okay. That is a protection I have for myself. I don't
mhm.
allow it to happen because that's a distraction. Okay. That's a distraction. You got a person over here talking, person over here talking. That happened to me when I first started. I had to stop that because I didn't want that to happen.
It's
So
like
now,
from that movie Ghost where they're just all coming in from all
yeah.
different directions.
And a lot of people say, well, you can't shut that off. I say, yes, you can.
Yeah,
You
you can. Yeah.
can. So I basically just shut it off.
Mhm,
So I only use it whenever I need it. So, and the thing is, as a seer, most people like a medium will connect with the past loved one on the other side. Okay. I don't do that. I connect with the past loved one when they're here, when they were here on earth. That's how I see it. I don't see them on the other side. Very rarely do I see it because that's not what I do. But I'll connect with them when they were here. I'll pick up their emotions or feelings or, you know, what their favorite things they do or, what they had been doing, what their hobbies were or, how they passed. I mean, all this
mhm,
stuff that I shouldn't know comes to me. Okay. And the people that are watching that I'm reading for, they're shocked because it's almost like I become part of them and I'm actually in their body or in their past loved one's body. And I'm seeing what they're doing. I'm seeing what the person I'm reading for, what the past loved one's doing. It's like I'm seeing everything. So it's kind of cool to be able to experience that. And that's why, a lot of people say, well, I already know all that stuff, but how do I know it? How do I know what your
mhm,
mom went through or what your son went through? How do I know that, right? It's
mhm.
given to me now from a higher power. I feel a higher power. Now, I have never connected with a guide. I don't know who my guides or my spirit guide or guardian. Maybe I haven't went that far. I don't know. But I just know it's coming from a positive area, a positive place. And
Mhm.
be wonderful for me. But I don't have this, I'll watch people and they'll say, hey, your spirit guide's John, your spirit guide's Evelyn, your spirit guide's Cindy. I don't believe that because I don't know how you could do that. I don't know how you can actually pick up everybody's spirit guide just by saying that. Maybe they have a different level of ability though. Maybe a level where I can't see or I can't understand. But for them to actually just throw out names, and the thing is, you have to watch people. You have to watch how, and usually whenever I do a reading, I look down. I never look at a person, but you have to watch people, how they react when you offer information. You know when you're connecting on a level because they're crying, their face is getting red, their neck's getting red, they're shaking. I mean, that is what I do for people. And I think it's amazing healing situation. A gentleman I was on a show not too long ago said to me, he said, listen, I like the way you do things because I know you're doing it right because I witness what is happening when you're offering the information and you're touching them in a special place.
So you say you don't connect to a person's loved ones directly in the moment. You're not calling them,
No,
from a higher place and asking them to come down.
no.
So, what exactly are you providing to people when they come to a gallery reading?
Well, put it this way.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's say a young lady, let's see, I'll tell you a story. Okay. I'll tell you a story. Same thing. It's basically the same thing. It's a readings. Okay. So this one young lady came to me and she wanted me to connect. She wanted me to connect with a child. And she gave me the name of the child and gave me a picture. Well, I don't need pictures or stuff like that. I just need a first name. That's how I connect. So anyways, I connected with this individual. Okay. So what I'm offering to that individual is I'm seeing insight about her child, things about her child, things that she knows. So what I'm doing is I'm giving her some kind of comfort because I saw what happened to her child. I saw her child got killed. Okay. I saw what happened to her. And then I told her, I said, listen, if you really believe what I'm giving you is really from a higher power or from a special place, then write down 5 things that you want your child to give you information or connect with. So she wrote down 5 things. And one thing she wrote down was number 3. She wrote down 3 hearts. She would actually, in the shower every morning, she would give a heart for each year of her child in the shower every morning. She does this every morning. So I said, I see that you're giving 3 hearts to your child. She's showing me that you're giving 3 hearts to your child every morning when you take a shower. Well, that shocked her because this is private. This is only stuff she knows. Nobody else knows it, only her. So this is what is important because I'm seeing stuff that only she knows. And she knew right then that this had to be coming from something special or someplace special because she felt that this was her child seeing her doing this. So from that, before that, she was depressed. She had no job. She was having a rough time because she lost her baby. So after that, she really believed that her child was around her and around her energy. And she got a job. She got remarried. She had other kids. I mean, she told me all this stuff. And I think it's amazing to be able to give people some kind of an experience like that because that actually heals them in a way because they're hurting. They want something saying, hey, my child is really watching over me or my child is near me. You know what I mean? They want that. And if I can get that kind of proof for them, yeah, that's what I'm giving them.
So, what is something that you think the public tends to misunderstand when it comes to spirit communication?
Well, the thing is, I get, honestly, I don't really have many people come against me with what I mean. I don't. Once in a while, it'll go to I'll go to a place where there might be some picketers or something like that. But most of the people, they'll throw a few things at me, but then I invite them to one of my shows or something, and then they kind of quiet down. But the biggest thing is a lot of people think that this is demonic. I'm getting this from a demon. This is evil. And I want people to understand that this is not evil. This is not negative. I'm giving positive information. I'm giving uplifting information to people. I'm helping them heal from a pain that nobody else is helping them. You know what I mean? So I'm giving them all this information and stuff to help them. And I think it's actually a blessing, but a lot of people I think they're scared of it because I know so much and it scares them. Why is this one guy over here knowing so much about, because I connect with people's energy too. I'm really strong with energy too. So I connect with people's energy. I can see things about them, feel things about them, know things about them. So that also, I mean, why? I think it just scares people of the unknown, or they scares people. Why is this guy being able to do this? So I think
Mhm.
that really, that's the big thing that I think people are just afraid of it.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
come to my events though. I mean, I have skeptics come to my events all the time. I have religious people come to my events all the time. They come and give me hugs because I give them information that only they know. And I think that's important. Our
Mhm.
own experienced it. I think it's an amazing thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever had an experience that unsettled you?
Yes.
Mhm.
And in the first, that first website I was on, a gentleman came on the website and he said,
Mhm.
read me. I said, no problem. He said, but if you do, I'm going to scare you, or you're going to be scared. I said, no, I'm not going to be scared. It's no big deal. So I
Mhm.
read the gentleman and I saw really weird stuff. I saw him in the kitchen. I saw him boiling something on the stove. And then I saw him slowly drinking it, with a spoon or sipping on it. And then I realized it was blood. So I would write all my readings down, what I'm seeing for the whole public, the whole website to see. It was like over 6,000 people on there. So they were seeing what I was doing, how accurate I was with information. Now they're seeing me give this information about this gentleman.
Mhm.
To me, I felt he was a serial killer. I felt he was a serial killer. That's what I was feeling. He actually killed people and he would actually drink their blood. So I thought it was kind of freaky. But that kind of did freak me out. And I ended up changing my name on the page to a different name because
Mhm.
because I was kind of scared. And my wife
Yeah.
said, "Are you crazy? You can't be saying that kind of stuff on the web." But
Yeah.
I changed my name, and that's how I got the Rick Waid, because that's my father's name.
Mm.
That's not my name I go by in my own neighborhood. I have a different.
Mhm. Right. Right.
I got
I think
Max.
that's smart. Yeah. That's awesome. So how do you protect yourself emotionally, spiritually when you do these readings? Because you never know what you're going to or I should say receive, or what information you're going to gather from
Well, let me
these
go
readings.
things with you. Well, I'm a big empath, so I used to do a lot of readings, and a lot of times sometimes I would read like 4 or 5 heart attacks. And I'm telling you, I could feel it. I could feel it in my chest. I could feel like my heart just
Mhm.
boom, 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 and feeling the stress in my body.
Yeah.
So I was feeling it. Years ago, I didn't know how to protect myself. Okay. Didn't know how to protect myself. I do one thing. That's all I do is I just say a prayer. I ask God to cover me with his white light. That's all I do. Even when I go to locations, I ask them to cover everybody with the white light and leave all the energies there. That's all I do. A simple thing. I never have any issue ever.
Mhm.
Nothing ever affects me anymore like it used to. It used to affect me where I couldn't sleep, where I'd get depressed, where I'd carry the emotions, I'd carry the suicidal thoughts for days and weeks. Well, that don't do that anymore because I asked God to cover me with the white light and it never happens anymore. So that's
Mhm.
what I do. I don't use crystals. I don't use sage or anything. I don't do any of that. I just do one thing, and that's all I do. And it
Mhm.
and it works for me.
Mhm. Mhm. So you never have information from, whether it be a spirit or come into contact with a spirit's past energy, that is just unnerving for you. That doesn't happen anymore.
No, no. Usually, see, the thing is, I've through paranormal. I don't use my gifts on the paranormal like I used to. Okay,
Mhm.
when I first started, I use the recorder now. Just
Mm.
it's only as a learning session for people to explain what an EVP is and how I hear differently and how I can prove that it's actually there and stuff. It's kind of like, I'm teaching people the paranormal. I don't really use my gifts out in the paranormal. I only use my gifts for reading. So, and usually I can actually sense things. What I do is I record before I go on a ghost hunt. I will record what I'm sensing, what I'm feeling, what I'm hearing, and then it will be shown to me later on in the investigation, which
Mhm.
is kind of cool.
Yeah. So you can kind of use that to your advantage then.
Yes, and the thing
Okay.
is, I don't never run into. I mean, I've had many ghost hunts, and people will come to my ghost hunts and they will walk away saying there is a demon here.
Yeah.
So and I'm just kind of like, okay, so Why do you think there's a demon here? So I don't feel no demon. I don't feel any negative energy, but they feel it. So they'll pay and then they'll walk right out. Then the next day, they'll pay for another event and they'll walk right out saying the same thing. You know, I've never ran into anything that really attacked me. Okay. I have had things touch me, kind of rub on my leg. I've had things crawl up my legs like a spirit cat, a ghost spirit of a cat. Uh,
Hmm.
but I had one EVP that came on. I heard like an angelic voice saying, "We need you," and then more of a negative energy voice saying, "No, we need you." It's like they were fighting over me. Kind of weird. That's what I was hearing on the audio. We need you here. No, we need you over here. So it was kind of creepy. But other than that, though, I really haven't had too much. I've had energies and spirits follow me. I went and did a ghost hunt at a location, and I could hear somebody breathing in the house. It's an old abandoned house. They had 18 children,
Hmm.
old falling apart, but I could hear somebody breathing. So I went back to my house, like about 5 blocks away, my father-in-law's house, and I'm putting my recorder on there, excited to hear this audio. And what do you think? And behind me in the kitchen is the same breathing. So it did follow me back to the house. So
Wow.
can follow you. Yes,
Yeah.
they can follow you. They
Yeah.
can mess with you. And I've had one chilling thing that I thought was scary. I recorded in the same house, and I went back out and listened to it in like a little camper. And then all of a sudden, I heard on the recorder, "Kill them, kill them." It said it 5 times on the recorder. Now I'm an EVP nut, so I'm hearing this. It's clear as day saying that. I had to turn the recorder off because it was
Hmm.
creepy,
Hmm.
very creepy for me. And that's when the cat jumped on me and crawled on me. And then I ran out of the camper, went into my father-in-law's house, got into bed with my daughter, and then the bed started shaking for like 3 hours, just like this. So there was some negative energy around me.
Hmm.
I think of a person in their mind is not, if they're having some mental illnesses and stuff, I think it can affect them to a point where they could hurt themselves or hurt somebody else.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I was too strong. I felt my energy must have been too strong, but they were interested and they
Yeah.
wanted to the pie. That's what
Yeah.
they.
Yeah. That's something I tell a lot of people too, because I think, and I've been saying this for quite a while now. I think, well, two things. One is I think everybody has kind of latched on to, what's been shown on TV and in the media, and it's kind of been almost romanticized, really, like the whole paranormal field. And people want that. They want it so badly. And in fact, I was interviewed by a journalist late last year, and he was genuinely shocked that my paranormal group didn't have multiple investigations lined up per month. And I said to him, I said, "So what you're saying is you want people to be completely terrified and running around and looking for people to come and help them and figure out what's going on in their homes or businesses or whatever. Like you want that." I said, "It's actually a good thing."
That
you know? And he couldn't say, like, he couldn't answer. It was just like crickets. And he changed the subject. And I think we need to be careful when it comes to what we allow ourselves to believe.
Mhm.
Belief is very, very strong. And I think you touched on it a little bit while you were explaining this situation where you believe so strong that you are protected.
Mhm.
And I think so many people, when anything happens, whether they hear, a noise in their home and it can be explained, or perhaps something did follow them and something happened, they automatically go to, "Oh my God, something's here. I'm in trouble and I've completely lost all of my power. Like, this
Right.
thing has taken over my life, my house, and everything." And I think we are so quick as a society, because it's kind of been embedded in us, from what we've seen on TV. The family moves into the new house and all hell breaks loose, and, they have to fight and all that kind of stuff. And It's just not true. That's not what happens can it happen? Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't happen on the scale that a lot of people want to believe. And so I think it's really important that everybody remember you actually have a lot more power than you think you do.
100%.
And yeah, and you need to and this is what I tell people, and I tell people this just like in talking when I'm educating people. And I also tell people this when I go on investigations and we're talking to homeowners. I tell them, if somebody broke into your house, would you just stand there and say, yeah, come on in?
No, you fight.
Yeah, you need to put your foot down. You need to set boundaries. You need to tell them to get out your house. They're not allowed in your house. And it is so interesting to me that especially when I go on investigation and I say it to like a homeowner, it's so interesting to see the realization hit them because they were so quick to, and it's no fault of their own, because you don't know. And yes, it can be scary. But this is why we do what we do. Like we educate the public, and this is why we got into this field. At least is why I got into the field because I wanted to understand, but I also wanted to help educate. And so I guess that's my little spiel for
Well, I
for
had,
what you said is just don't give up your power so easily.
and the thing is, when I first started, I was scared.
Mhm.
Honestly, scared. When I did paranormal stuff, I was scared.
Yeah.
Weird things were happening. Trees
Mhm.
were falling out at locations. I mean, a tree would fall right at the location out of nowhere. Crazy, right? And just weird things would happen. Like the doors would open for me. I mean, things were actually doing it. And I'm assuming when I first started, I was messing maybe with some negative energy.
Mhm.
I was so excited. I wanted it to happen. I'll tell you a story. I was actually doing my little recording. And I think it's kind of cool. I would do the recording and I would actually bring a positive experience to the location.
Mhm.
I would sing, I would, talk to them and try to communicate with them. And once in a while, you would actually hear a voice. You could hear
Yeah.
it, because they are around,
Mhm.
and um, I took a paranormal team once with me. Not a paranormal team, but I was doing like a paranormal thing for Halloween for one of the radio stations here in town. And we all drove around in hearse. It was like a big Halloween thing, with hearse and stuff. So we went to my favorite haunted location that I always go by myself. And I went there and they had a Ouija board out and all this stuff, trying to connect with the energies and stuff. But there was two guys that actually owned the hearses and they were smashing things and breaking them.
Mm.
So all of a sudden, the wind just picked up and blew the glass right out of the window at both of them. I thought it was kind of shocking, but that really happened because they were negative. They brought negativity there. They were angry. They were screaming. They were hollering and being stupid. But, there is energies out there. And I'm sure there's energy that would probably want to do something like that if you're actually affecting them in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I always tell people if you go in looking for something, that's exactly what you're going to find.
Correct.
So you need to be careful of what your intentions are because intent is everything.
Oh, yes.
Um, so when you go into a supposedly haunted location, what's the first thing you're looking for when when you get there?
Well, I'm more of, I've been to so many locations. I think when I first started, I used to have a paper and pencil.
Mhm.
I would feel things and I would write them down. That's how my investigation would go, which was kind of cool. But like I said, I got away from that. It's more, whenever I do these ghost hunts now, it's more like I do a ghost hunt, but I do a reading event. So it's kind of like more structured of just going there and letting people experience what they need to experience. Usually what I do after an event is I walk through the location after the event by myself. And
Mhm.
so I can actually sense the place, feel the place, and always something happens. Very interesting, like a door was shut, or you'll hear some knocks, or you hear somebody running. So something really happens when I'm there by myself. It's almost to a point whenever I like to do a ghost hunt, I like to be there by myself because then you can actually validate more stuff. Because if you have a lot of people there, it's kind of
That's
hard
hard.
to voice the walking or anything like that. But usually whenever I do a ghost hunt, I used to do it like that, but I just kind of like go there, set everything up, and get everybody all set up. I do like an EVP circle. I get
Mhm.
everybody in a circle, and I have everybody talk to a spirit and see if they can actually interact. And then I play the recorder, and I'm in the middle of the circle. Then I play the recorder back, and we listen to the voices. So it's kind of like, I kind of teach people,
Yeah.
how to listen, what they're listening for. I can tell. Okay, I'll say I just heard somebody sneeze, right? But then all of a sudden, on the recorder, right after that, you can hear somebody cough. Well, there was
Mhm.
nobody coughing. So
Yeah.
I said, well, you heard me talk about the sneeze, but there was no cough. So, or I have this special hearing where I can hear things on a different level than everybody else. So all of a sudden I will hear somebody say something, and everybody else say, did you hear that? And nobody said, no, I didn't hear nothing. I said, well, I just heard a man say over there, shut my mouth. So I would play the recorder back, and there it is on the recorder, shut my mouth. And they
Mhm.
kind of like freak out because, see, they're not hearing the same frequency as I am, because I put thousands and thousands of hours with this recorder right here to my ear.
Yeah.
I
You
learned
get so good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I learned how what was really making that noise in the kitchen. What was creaking that door, or what was actually walking, or what was actually the noise that was going by. I mean, you could actually know everything about what's going on in that home, which is kind of cool to be able to do that. But most people can't do that because they don't do that. They just listen once in a while. Oh, what's that EVP? Oh,
Mhm.
because all they're hearing is static. Even
Yeah.
when I went to the police department, they couldn't hear it either because they're out shooting guns all day, right? So it messes with their hearing. But usually, whenever I first started, ladies could actually hear more than a male because a male won't go down that road. Usually,
Mm.
a male won't go down that road. He don't want to go down that road, or he just don't believe in it that way. But ladies will do that. Females will do that. They
Mhm.
have the ability to hear. They've been through a different road. They've been through maybe a different experience, but they're able to hear a different frequency than a male can hear. So
Mhm.
I kind of like that when I do investigation. I kind of like set the men aside, let them do a recording, set the ladies aside, and let them do the recording. And then we
Mhm.
go back and play. And usually the women kicks our butt.
Yeah.
They get more keys, they get
I
more
see that.
into. It's really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I will share some EVPs with my husband every now and then, and he'll go, "I just don't hear it." Like, "It's a class A. How do you not hear that?"
Right there.
Clearly right there. Yeah, it's right there in front of him, but he doesn't hear it. It's hilarious. It's kinda like I tell him, I was like, it's like that photo that was going around the internet way back in the day of the dress. Is it green or
Oh,
is it blue?
oh,
It's like that.
had an audio going around where it said something, and one person would hear this and one person would hear that. So they all would hear something different, or two different words or something. That
Yeah,
was cool.
that
So,
happens sometimes too. Yeah.
and one thing about my ghost hunts and stuff, I like to, whenever I do a ghost hunt, I like to put my stuff privately in an area while I'm out here doing my gallery reading. And it's very important to do that because there's nobody out there. And
Mhm.
that's when I usually capture most of my stuff, is because I leave it there, I walk
Yeah.
away, nobody's there to mess with it. And
Yeah.
you will come around.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell people, I say, if you're going to go and do an investigation, I say one of the best things to do that I have found is when you're there, of course, you're there to ask questions and you're there to document and you're there to, maybe take readings and stuff like that. But one of the things that I really like to do is just kind of go about the investigation, not the whole investigation, but take some time to relax and let your guard down, whether it be just having a casual conversation with a team member or something like that. Because, when people experience something, they're not actively waiting for something to happen. It's happening just like they're going out throughout their day, they're cooking dinner, or, they're at their job and they're just doing whatever. They're just doing what they do normally throughout the day. And then something happens. And so I have this theory that if we're kind of sitting there just waiting. Well, they're watching us. So a lot of the times they're just going to sit back and like, oh, this is entertaining. But what if we let our guard down and we show them that, look, we're just here. We're just kind of walking around, having a conversation. We're really not here to cause you any harm, even though, but at least on my team, we do state that before we start an investigation, but just to show them that we're also human beings and we're just here to kind of just hang out. And it's interesting because I at least think that we get a lot more evidence when we do that instead of having the whole 4 or 5 6 hour investigation do, going through a checklist and making sure we hit everything. Take some time to just relax and have a casual conversation with your team members. And this we did do well, we didn't purposely do it, but it did happen back in, I think it was November. We were investigating a location in Savannah, and we had the spirit box going, and I was asking some EVP questions, and I was asking the questions, but my head was kind of somewhere else because it had been a really stressful week. So my guard was really down. And I got touched, and lo and behold, it was also caught on camera. That we had no idea. We didn't know until we were reviewing evidence, and it was caught on camera that my shirt on my back moved twice. And so I told my team leader, I was like, I didn't actively know what I was doing, but I've been talking about this for so long, and that's exactly what I was doing. Yes, I was asking the questions, but my guard was also down. I wasn't there. I wasn't asking questions and just like waiting for something to happen. It was just a very kind of relaxed situation.
And that's another thing, I have, when I do investigations too, I'll have people just sit down and say, listen, just sit down, talk
Yeah.
about, just talk
Mhm.
about your, and honestly, if you videotape people talking and you watch them and then you play the recorder back, there will be interaction from a spirit communicating with them. I've done this before at my mother-in-law's house. I leave it there and she's the only one in the kitchen. She'll
Mhm.
be humming or whatever. And then all of a sudden you hear somebody say, can I have a sandwich, Mom? And there's nobody there.
Yeah.
So she opens up the refrigerator and the spirit says, can I have a sandwich, Mom? So, they are always around. They're there to interact. They're there to communicate. And I think just drilling them with 50,000 questions and stuff, just be normal.
Oh, how annoying would that be?
Yeah, it's very annoying. Hey,
Yeah.
what color do you like? Hey, you know, hey, what's your
Yeah.
girlfriend? Or, what's your mom? What do your mom do for a living? I mean, it's just to a point where it's probably is annoying.
Mhm.
And the thing is, like I said, most of the times, I mean, I've captured some really crazy stuff. I have like a lot of my videos are like, I got millions and millions of video views on Facebook.
Mhm.
But I always try to figure out when I capture something, I want to try to debunk it. And I have friends that always try to debunk my stuff. And that's good. They always try to debunk it. But when I give information, when I share something and I show it, I have already tried to debunk it multiple times.
Mhm. Mhm.
But the thing is, even though they're seeing it a different way, they're still not debunking it the way it should be debunked. Okay. For instance,
Mhm.
let's say you have a shadow, like I have one video with a shadow at the end of the hallway. Okay, no problem. Said they're all saying it's the light behind me, it's shining me down. Well, I have the video longer of it, and you can see me, my shadow shining all the way down the hallway. You can see that's me. You can see the shadow going all the way down. Okay, that's me. 100% that's me. You can tell. But in the other part of the clip only lasts about a second. Okay. A
Mhm.
second that actual image comes on the screen or that shadow down there. And what's interesting is it is behind a chair. You can see a light on the chair and is behind the chair. So it is not my shadow because it would cover the chair and everything. So, and you would see an actual trail, my actual, shadow, but it is not there. So it only lasts a second. And a human being can't jump in the middle of a hallway and disappear within a second. You
Yeah.
can't, you know what I mean? So I try to debunk these things. And the thing is, maybe I'm not right. Maybe I'm wrong, but I know I see things, I feel things, and I know there's something going on. And I just think, just with that, I feel that extra. And some people might not do that and they want to debunk it. And I want them to debunk it if they can. But most of my stuff is hard to debunk because I always find something there to try to crack what they're saying.
Mhm. Do you think that emotional sensitivity and anxiety can be mistaken for paranormal experiences?
Well, I was at an investigation once, and
Mhm.
this lady was investigating with us, and she came and sat up on the bed, and she would not leave the bed. She just stared straight at the wall, and the gentleman that owned the place was a priest, um, and he actually was came up and and did some things. He said the Lord's Prayer, whatever he said, spiritually, what he is taught, and he said that she is not possessed. She's thinking she's possessed, okay, like
Mm.
demon in her. So he said, no, she's not possessed. I've done all this stuff. I've done this. I've done this. There is something mentally going on with her,
Mm.
and she should not have been there. And they ended up taking her to the hospital. She was admitted into the
Mhm.
hospital. There was something going on
Yeah.
more. I think what she did is she let it absorb her. She really felt maybe there was something there, and it kind of did. Maybe it did take over her to a point, or maybe her own mind took over to where she believed
Mm.
that she was possessed, but she really wasn't possessed. But it was more of a mental condition.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have any, and that's really important. I'm glad that came up because it's one of the things that, we educate people on. You need to be really careful because there are people out there who will automatically jump on that bandwagon and say, yes, there is a demon here, or yes, you are possessed. Or like my curtains swaying back and forth right now because my cats are literally going crazy in front of me, So
We got a
hey,
ghost.
oh my God, it's horrible. Um, but there are so many people out there who want to, whether they want to document because they just want to find it so badly, or they just don't care and they want to put fake evidence out there. I've seen both, but we need to be really careful because sometimes you can cause a lot more harm to a person if you're not looking at the whole picture. And the whole picture involves looking at the background of people. Are there medical conditions going on? Are these people or person on medications that can cause hallucinations? These are all things that need to be asked prior to going on an investigation. And it's not just because you want to make sure that everything's in the up and up, but it's also because you need to think about your own safety and your team's safety because you don't know what you're walking into, and that can be very dangerous.
And let me explain something to you. There's also, let me see if I just went on my brain here. Shoot, I just had something here. Um, Shoot, I just
Oh,
lost
no.
it. There we go.
It'll
Great.
come back.
But anyway, so it's important, very important that when we go into places. No, I was gonna bring up so okay, I got it now. See, I used to do a lot of past lives,
Mhm.
but when I did the past life, it was always negativity. There was always murder. There was always blood. There was always bad things. It's
Mhm.
like I would go into a, a place where it was always somebody was being hurt in a way or murdered or something like that. So and I was starting to be scared to read people because I was afraid what was going to happen on their end.
Yeah.
So that scared me. So I did read one young lady, and I went back into 1700s into a castle, and her husband ended up getting murdered or getting killed in the field or whatever, and she ended up slitting her wrists. So I explained this is what I was explaining to the young lady that I was reading. I felt this was connected to her. And honestly, 3 months later, she slit her wrist.
Yeah.
So it can affect people to a point where they honestly believe she needed to slit her wrist.
Mm.
And that's what she did. She almost died.
Yeah.
Now, we have to be careful as
Mhm.
readers.
Yeah.
So my whole journey started changing to where I'm not getting into that past life as much, and
Mhm.
I'm not getting the gore and the bad stuff. But the bad stuff was connecting on a level, but I was afraid that somebody was going to use that in a way to where they was going to harm themselves. And now they have that reading of mine. So
Yeah.
it get to a point where it's like I pushed them overboard. And I don't
Mhm.
want to. So my whole connection now, I don't do stuff like that anymore. I don't bring up the past like that.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll offer a reading here and there, but I never bring up,
Mhm.
don't do it anymore.
Yeah. Do you so let's go back to like kind of psychic mediumship here. Do you think that anybody can learn how to do second readings and do it correctly and do it well?
Well, you know, I've been doing this for a long time. I've taught a lot of classes,
Mhm.
and I've had up to like 35, 40 people in a group. And I'm telling you, I give them exercises, I test them, and there's too many things going on with people's lives to be able to zone in like I did. I zone in really a lot, reading 7 to 10 people a day, where I zone into my EVPs. I mean, I put all my time and energy more than I did my family. So I sacrifice to be able to get this ability or gift or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Most people are busy with their children, they're busy with their job, and a lot of times they won't take the time to actually practice something and believe in themselves. And
Mhm.
that's what the problem is. I'd say out of the 35 people, one or two might actually get some of the questions right or some of the tests right. I could see one or two in that having that ability, and they actually have moved on to actually do really well. So you can see that because they're getting things correct. Because I test people. I test
Mhm.
people in my group. I will actually remote view things. I'll take them to places. I'll do things and stuff like that. So I do all that stuff. So they're getting hands on, right in front of things and stuff. So, but the thing is about it is, I'd say, I'd say no. I'd say no. Whenever I got tested on my ability, I had to go through a lot of tests from people. I don't even know who they are now because at the time they kind of popped in my life. They tested me and they popped out of my life. Okay. They wanted to see if I could do certain things, if I could remote view, if I could connect with this person or connect with that person. So they were there to actually see if I could do it. And once I did,
Mhm.
they just let me know. They knew I could do it. But most of the people I bring in an actual a setting like that, they can't do that. It's very rare for somebody to go and do what I do or do what a real medium can do. It's
Mhm.
something you have to work on for years. It's not something you can do. I see right now people will get on my page and they'll say, well, I'm a reader. I said, well, okay, how long have you been doing it? Well, I've been doing it for 6 months. I said, how many people you read? I've read 300 people. I said, well, that's not enough. Okay, that's not enough. You really don't know your gifts yet because you have not learned what
Yeah.
you're being given. You have to do it more and more. And it took me years to open up to be able to do just the remote viewing and then the past loved one. And it took me years to do the past loved one. And then finally, it took me years to do the past, the person's energy. So I didn't have all those gifts at once. It was step by step by step. I had to work so hard and really obsess over it and really learn. I mean, I really learned a lot.
Mhm.
And I had to believe what was being given to me. And that's what it is. A lot of people, they don't have time. They're too
Mhm.
busy. They don't put the time and energy. If they really wanted to learn, they might be able to develop it. But most of the people they don't really have the time. And they're either on medication or they are depressed or they're sad or, stuff, or they do drugs or something. All that stuff affects you. You
Mhm.
got to let go of all that stuff if you really want to be able to connect with your spirit guide or guardian angel. You have to
Right.
be able to do that.
Right. So if somebody is seeking a psychic medium, a psychic or a medium for whatever reason, what are some red flags that you would tell them to look out for?
Well, first of all, you need to watch some. See, a lot of, really, a lot of people like me. I'll go live a lot. I'll go live. I'll read lots of
Mhm.
people. So there should be evidence out there. You should be able to watch. You should be able to pay attention to their videos and watch of their doing lives. I can watch a lot of people do gallery readings, but they only show one or two people. Okay. So that's not showing what's really going on. Well, maybe they hit on those one or two people. That's all you're seeing. You're not seeing the rest. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I pay attention to I would ask, I would first look and see if they're connecting. First of all, also pay attention to how they're offering information because I never let a person communicate with me when I do a reading. So if a person wanted me to connect with their loved one, say Janet, I look down, I offer everything I see, and then I give it to them. Then they come back with the information. That's connecting with no interferences. That's not me pulling information out. Pay attention to people saying, hey, okay, so you want me to connect with your grandma? Okay, well, was she kind of older? I'm feeling she was kind of older, you know. Um,
Mhm.
can you tell me a little bit about? pay attention because they'll fish. It's
Yeah.
called fishing. So they'll try to pull information out from you.
Mm.
And I never go back and forth with conversation with people because that's giving you information that you can actually get back, and you can pay attention to somebody, the way they actually look, the way they're talking, the way they're dressed. These people are really smart out here. They can actually look and see exactly what's going on by an individual just by looking at them. They don't have to be psychic or medium. Just by looking at them, they can actually tell and pick up on things. But when you're looking for somebody like that, make sure, you got to watch the money too. You got to pay attention because I'm sorry, nobody should be charging $1,200 for 45 minutes. I'm sorry, that's crazy. I charge $30 for a reading, and I just go whenever I get done with the reading. And the thing is, I get more in 5 minutes than most people get in an hour because that's how I get my information. But yeah, pay attention to that, and pay attention to the money, and just pay attention to references. They should have some reviews, or ask for some references. Ask for some people that actually has been read by him before. Just be careful, because I'm telling you, I have had so many people come to me that's been scammed, and lost.
So many scams.
We're talking thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars. But they keep going back, and they keep going back because they want information so bad. But I mean, I see it on TikTok. I see it on Facebook. I watch people. Now, there's some good readers out there. I watch them because pay attention to a person that can pick up things about your loved one. I'm not the kind of person that will actually throw out, okay, this is one thing I don't like about readers, is they'll throw out, and I ain't saying it's wrong or right, but they'll throw out, okay, I'm getting somebody that's 80 years old. I'm getting somebody that actually was in the hospital for a couple months. I'm getting somebody that actually walks with a cane. I feel that the person had heart conditions. Well, then they throw that out, right? How many people has a loved one with heart condition? So by the time the chat's done, you've had 1,000 people connecting to these 5 things. So I don't like that, because you're kind of like feeding the crowd. You know what I mean? You're not really zoning in on somebody's energy or somebody's past loved one. And then they'll bring them up, and they'll say, okay, we got this. Let me see what else I can get. And then all of a sudden it doesn't match. And then they're like, it must not be for you. It must have been somebody else in the chat room. So let me get somebody else. I'm shocked. You know what I mean? But you got to just pay attention to what people are doing, how they connect, how they interact, and how they're offering information. But I mean, there are some good mediums. Yeah. But you know, I've been gallery, other gallery readers, and it's just kind of, I feel bad because I think a lot of people are inexperienced. A lot of people haven't put the time and energy in. You know, a lot of people are just all up in their head. You know, they're worth $1,000 for a minute. You know what I mean? I don't like that, because they've only read like a handful of people. You know, I've put 14,000 people in there. That's a lot of people to read. So I do have experience with what I'm. So, but you know, I'm not the kind of person that's out here selling out left and right with my readings. I don't do that. I get like maybe one paid reading a month. I don't really advertise it that much, only once in a while, because I work a full-time job. It's not something I need. But I take it and take the family out for dinner and stuff if I need to. But like I just read just the other day, I read 3 people, 1 past loved one, 1 energy, 1 past loved one, 1 energy, 1 past loved one, 1 energy. So I gave them 6 readings. But that was kind of cool for them. And they all experienced, they all was at one house. And it was kind of nice to be able to do 1 person, 1 person, 1 person. Yeah. But you know, you just got to be careful, because there's a lot of scammers, and a lot of people, maybe they don't know in their mind, maybe they really do believe that they're really good because they've hit on a few things and they've connected on a few things, and maybe they do have a gift, but they haven't put the time and energy the right way. When they instantly start, you know, making people pay. My first like 8,000 readings were free because I didn't know what I was doing. I was learning. All that 8,000 readings was learning, understanding what I'm hearing, what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing. You know, if the average person does that, they honestly would be way better at what they're doing. But most people see money. This is about money, and that's what it is.
Yeah. What kills me every year around spooky season is the whole curse thing. And you have a curse, and I'll lift the curses and all that. Okay. I know one woman, she was scammed out of thousands of dollars because somebody told her that there was a curse on her. And I said, you know, that's not true. And she wouldn't listen. And
they won't, because they believe it. Now I did
it's so sad.
I had this one lady and this gentleman, they was down south of me, and they said, we have a bad demon in our house. I said, okay. Well, I said, well, let's do a video and let me see what I can see or sense or feel. So,
Mhm.
I kept on picking up on a female. There
Mhm.
was, the husband's been having a rough time. He felt like, things are being thrown at him. The doors are slamming in his face, and it just seemed like somebody's angry with him. Well, I kept picking up. I picked up the name Catherine. I said, I keep getting the name Catherine. I feel like she's connected to you guys in some way. Matter of fact, I think she's mad at your husband. So I'm giving all this information. That was the sister-in-law, and she had passed recently.
Mhm.
She was pissed at him because of how he actually treats her sister.
Ah,
So it's kind of like she was still there in the house living. You know what I mean? She lived with him, but that's what it was. It was no demon, but they
right.
wouldn't accept that. They wouldn't
Yeah.
accept. Had to
Yeah.
go to somewhere else, to a church or whatever, to get that demon out of their house. I said, no, it's
Yeah.
not. It's just your sister.
Yeah.
So
You don't need to make your life that hard.
yeah, how do you describe what's going on in your house if it wasn't your sister?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I've said this quite a few times. Um the whole demon thing, it happens way less often than people really want to believe.
Oh, 100%.
And it's so interesting how they almost get disappointed. Kind of like what happened with the journalist I spoke about earlier. They get disappointed when when you tell them no, because this is the evidence that we were able to capture. It's not a demon, it's just somebody, this is the history that we pulled up, and so this is our theory of, what's going on. No, 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 it has to be evil. And well,
They,
like, why would you want it to be evil? Like, just tell them to leave. It's not a demon, just tell them to leave.
right. You should be happy. But the thing is, I've done this with little children before, where
Yeah.
family contacted me saying that their kid was possessed and stuff. And it's just, it's almost like they want it to happen so they could.
Yes.
I don't know, why would you want your kid to be possessed? You know?
Yeah.
And it's, and I don't know. I mean, I've watched The Conjuring, I've watched all kinds of stuff. I've watched, all kinds of stuff, the Entity and stuff, the old shows and stuff. That's exciting for people to watch that stuff. I mean, it really, whenever I was a kid, I loved it. I'm like, oh my goodness, that fear, you want that fear. You want to see that stuff. You want to see that creepiness go on. And that's what people are drawn to. That's why certain ghost hunters are really, really popular
Mhm.
going on.
Exactly. So what's your opinion on when because you said that when you go into a haunted location, you don't use your abilities. So what's your take on when psychic mediums are brought into a haunted location to give information?
Well, I don't really trust TV because
Right, right. And
trust,
I'm not referring to just TV. I'm
yeah,
talking about like in general.
I don't really have I don't really work with a lot of mediums
Mhm.
in any investigations. I
Mhm.
don't. I usually do my own investigations. So I don't really have that experience with them going in and doing what they need to do. I would love to work with some mediums, but the thing is, I think if we're going to go in and we're going to do an investigation, and if we are a medium, if you give information out, I mean, there has to be. I mean, how do we know that that person didn't look it up? I mean, how do we know? I think something like that has to be, like whenever I do my free for ghost hunts, I used to do this for ghost hunters. I would actually remote view and see things, and then it would happen at the location. Okay. That is confirming my gift. Okay. My ability, because I
Mhm.
saw beforehand and it happened. I
Mhm.
don't work with a lot of mediums, but I've watched a lot of shows, and I know it's shows, but I just don't like how they blow everything up.
Yeah.
Uh, I see a 8-foot person in the corner that's a bad energy, that's looking over your daughter. That's, I mean, come on. I mean, if they have that ability, great. But why would you, first of all, say that to a man and his child that's a young girl? Why would a media even say that, anyways? You know,
Right. Yeah.
why would you want to do that and put that poor kid in fear? That's not good. And then, you know, you got to hire some more people to get rid of this demon. Well, if you're a medium, why, and you can do it. Why ain't you getting rid of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why do you get 3 or 4 other mediums to come in and actually clear the house?
Mhm.
And the thing about clearing houses, I don't know anything about clearing houses. I've never done any of that stuff. I mean, does it really happen? I don't know. See, there's a lot I don't know about the paranormal and these abilities to clear houses and get rid of, energies in a house or move a spirit on. I've never experienced all that. So I can't believe it until I see it. So I have to experience it, if I experience, a loved one somehow, a past loved one that's in the house that goes on to the light, and you get a feeling or you get really overwhelming emotion and you cry or something. If it really happens, then maybe I would honestly maybe think different about it. But, there's so many things out here that people fake nowadays and
Yeah.
people add to it all the time. It's just kind of sad to me. I would love to be able to move a spirit on. I think I did it one time. Maybe I didn't do it one time, but I was at a light with my wife and the light would always work for me. I'd ask it to turn on, it'd turn on. I asked it to turn off. So I said, go to the light. And from now on, from that point on, that light never turned on for me ever again.
Mm.
And it was do for me all the time. So was I sending somebody to the light? I don't know. But, I don't have the experience and all this stuff. I wish I did have that. But, some mediums, I mean, explain something to you. In my first investigation, there was a medium there. And I was just a recorder guy. So I went in there. I'm sitting on the couch. Just before I even cared about a medium or knew anything about mediums or psychics, I didn't even pay attention to it. But I sat on the couch and I'm doing my recording. And the medium's like moving in the chair going, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's coming on to me. Oh, yeah. His name is Larry. And he wants to be with me. And he's laughing right now. So I'm just laughing in the corner. I'm like, what the heck is going on, right? This is funny. Well, I listened back to my recorder. I heard a man breathing heavy saying, Larry's here. I was shocked. I was blown away because this is my go-to thing at the time. I was not a person at the time. I had no abilities or anything. And then I'm hearing the breathing, saying sexual stuff to this lady. And she's telling me this is what's happening. So from that point on, I started watching medium shows. Mm. And I started trying to understand mediums and stuff. But it was shows, you know what I mean? Shows, right? But I started getting into the medium stuff and watching, Teresa Caputa and watching Lisa Williams and all these people. I was getting really into it. But the thing is about it is I really started believing in mediums because they were doing some really cool stuff. They were actually seeing things, describing things about a picture that's in the other room that they knew nothing about. They could describe the person exactly what it was. So I was blown away how they were doing that. So it started getting me closer to mediums. But at first I thought it was a joke because I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I do believe in mediums. I do believe in mediums. There are really some good ones out there.
There are.
So flooded right now.
Yeah, it's hard. You have to really do your homework.
Yes. Yeah. Very sad.
Have you ever disagreed with a paranormal team's interpretation of a situation?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I have. Well, see, the thing is, you got to understand. So I've taken paranormal teams with me. Like when I do my ghost hunts, paranormal teams will join me. They'll come and they'll do their stuff. And one time I was in a location and, I do my audio. Back then I was the only audio guy. I didn't do anything else, but I believed in it so much. And so I heard this little boy say, I'm 3 years old on the recorder. And there was no children. There was all grown-ups. So I'm in a school, right? So I would go with, but I don't know where the 3-year-old come from. But I heard him say, I'm 3 years old. And you hear a little boy. So I went in there and there were some gifted people that came too. And I put the gifted people on one side of the table. And I put the paranormal investigators on another end of the table. And I played this audio back. And I said, listen here and tell me what you hear. So, and I said, write down what you hear. So they wrote down. There were the 3 gifted people on this side. And there was like 8 paranormal investigators for a team. So the 3 people wrote down what they heard. And on their paper said, I'm 3 years old. They could hear what I was hearing on the recorder. Okay. The paranormal investigators, all they heard was static. Every one of them could only hear static. Now, when we explain what was on the audio, they all listened to it again and they were shocked because they could hear it clear as day.
Yeah.
Now, why is that happening? We're not putting it in their mind because I just proved the point. I'm not the only one hearing this. The gifted people are hearing it. So they're able to hear this because they hear in a different frequency than what they are. The paranormal investigator is not hearing the same frequency. So that's what it is. But that's what, that's, and they're like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. But really, there was something there.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that, I mean, I truly believe that when you do this for a long time, and I'm not saying that, we become psychics, but I do believe that we are more in tune with things that happen around us. And so we do, like, I mean, I can listen to a recorder and almost immediately pick out EVPs if they're there, and I don't really have the I don't struggle like I did in the beginning with
Mm-hmm.
what did it say and all of
Right.
that kind of stuff. So there is some truth to that. The longer you do this, it's just like any other job. You get better at it, right? And you know what to look for. And you're like, no, that is some static, or that's not a true EVP. That is an echo because somebody was pulling tape to tape the cords down to the floor,
Sure.
or we have a slight echo, like sometimes like the DVR cameras will have an echo of people talking in another room, and it will sound like an EVP, but it's actually not an EVP. It's just
Sure.
like the echo carrying through the rooms, So, but it's it's so interesting. I tell people it's kind of like when you get a tattoo. You can't explain what getting a tattoo feels like. You just have to like get one and you can experience it. It's kind of like the same thing. It's like when you hear a true EVP for the first time, you know exactly what you're looking for and you'll be able to start picking them out.
And that's why it was so cool whenever I used to do my investigation, because people would do their talking, I would film, and then
Mhm.
I would play the recorder back, the video back, and say, look here, nobody said I
Yep.
was killed. Nobody
Yep.
said, you can see everybody here, nobody said that. On the recorder says I was killed and a
Yeah.
person murdered in the house.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, it's there.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you cannot say that. We're talking, you got to throw it out. You got it. I said, not if you have video evidence. You don't
Yeah.
have, you have video evidence, nobody's talking, then you can keep that because it's there, even though other people are talking. And I
Yeah.
can hear when an EVP comes and I can prove to people because I put it on a program,
Yeah.
I
You can pick it out. Yeah.
can prove it. And
Yeah.
most of the times, a lot of my EVPs are flat lines. So
Mhm.
nobody can hear that. They're like, it's a,
That's what a true EVP is gonna be like.
yeah, it, pass it up. Most paranormal investigators will pass up so much stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's shocking. They'll
Yeah.
pass it because they can hear. They can hear the
Mhm.
frequency.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and, it's also it's hilarious because there's so many programs like Audacity. Audacity will help you go through it f literally for free. It costs nothing.
Yep.
And it's so easy to learn too. Like, I know people who record audiobooks through Audacity, it's a fantastic program. So it's not hard, it's just that people I think, are just so resistant. They either don't want to believe, they don't want to admit, or they're passing off evidence that shouldn't actually be evidence.
And another thing is what's interesting is whenever I first started with my recorders, I would always bring 3 recorders. Okay. I'd always
Mhm,
bring recorders. And whenever I would do a recording or if I would leave, I would hit record all at the same time. Boom,
mhm,
3 recordings. Then I would walk away. I would honk my horn and leave in a haunted location. Okay. I would walk away and then I'd come back and I'd honk the horn again. And then I'd come back and I would listen to the recorder. And it's amazing what you can capture. I could hear
mhm.
at exactly 1 minute and 33 seconds a man saying, go get the gun.
Oh,
At
wow.
33, on the second recorder, I hear a woman crying. It's exactly 1:33. You can't, it's impossible. And then on the third one, you can hear 3 kids. You can hear 3 kids giggling and laughing on
Yeah.
the third recorder at 1:33. So we have 3 different recorders, all recording something different on the recorder.
Mhm.
It's amazing. That's why I
Yeah.
was an addict. I was so addicted because I was hearing all this. How is that possible? It was blowing my mind. And
Mhm.
then I could actually take that recorder and sometimes that audio recorder and I could reverse it. And certain EVPs, you will hear another whole EVP being said. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's
And
just,
it's coherent too. Yeah.
yeah, you can hear it clear
Mhm.
as day. Somebody's talking and it should be
Yeah.
all back.
Yeah.
of the EVP that's actually coming. That's when you know you got a real EVP.
Oh,
Because you
yeah.
can your own voice and say, I love you, and you can reverse it, like, rah, 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 rah. But if
Mhm.
your spirit say, I love you, then it might say in the other one, say, I miss you too.
Yeah.
So it's really like, holy crap, this is really happening.
hmm With the spirit box, we always ask them if they're okay with it. We always ask them to cuss
Oh,
because
really?
you're not. Yeah, yeah. Because if it's, a lot of people try and say, well, it's the spirit box and it's scanning radio stations. It's just, you're just picking up, radio stations. It's like, well, if that's true, you're not going to hear cuss words.
Well, I'll tell you what, there is audio. Some of those boxes will they blow me away because
hmm
I'm doing the recording and I'm playing the audio box, and it will say stuff, and then I will play it on the recorder, and it's not on the recorder, it's
Yep.
saying different. So
Yeah.
I know
We've
it's
had that too.
spiritual
hmm
because it's two different things going on.
Yeah.
And,
We've definitely had that happen.
and they will interact. I mean, it's like I was up at Witches Weekend, then all of a
hmm
sudden you hear they come on and say, Witch. I'm like, that's just kind of cool because it goes with the story. Or we was in like Charlton Heston room and it'd say, it'd say Charlton Heston. You could hear it say its name. I'm like, how does it know we're in Charlton Heston? How can that box say that at all? Right?
Yeah.
So they do work to a point where you're like, holy crap, how that just come through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
For
do
sure.
believe in that stuff. I
I
do.
do. Yeah. They're pretty cool. If anybody has any questions, feel free to go ahead and drop them in the chat, and we'll make sure that we have Rick answer or try to answer for you as best he can. I just have a couple more questions, honestly. Where I'm so bummed that Heather wasn't able to make it, but just wishing her the best, and we hope that everything is okay with her. So, Rick, I'm going to ask one more question, and then I don't have anything else unless something else comes up while you answer it. So, what's one experience that you've had that has stayed with you?
Well, I would say there's many. There's many. Um,
Mm,
I would say, I keep telling the stories about stuff. I'd say a lot of my past lives stay with me
mhm.
because of how accurate they were with an individual in this life and how it connected with the individual in the past life. And actual, for instance, I'll tell you one experience that really sticks with me was kind of cool. I read this gentleman. I told him, I said, I keep seeing the name of this plane. I seen the name of the plane. I seen him on the plane. I got his name and first name and last name. And then I said, he went missing in action. And then I said, this is who you were in your past life. And a gentleman researched and found the information about the individual. And he actually looked him up and he saw a picture of him. And the picture, he posted his picture next to the person that died in the plane crash with the name and everything on the website and blew people away. It was like exact twin.
Oh, wow.
So to be able to, and I have so many experiences and so many memories. That's shocking
Mhm,
because how do I know? How am I seeing this? And the thing is, he had nightmares all the time of being in a plane crash. So he's
mm,
experiencing it and feeling it.
yeah,
So, I mean, there's so many amazing things I've done with, connecting with people and stuff. And I have so many videos, but I don't show them, guys. Just keep them private. But
yeah,
and I mean, keep them private. But just to watch the videos, I watch them over and over because how it it connects with their energy and how, like I said, they turn red, they're crying. I mean, they're in really a lot of tears and they're very sad because I touch them so deep to a
mhm,
point where it's like, it's like you take a person that's alone and they've been alone their whole life, and all of a sudden it's like a person comes in and sees their life and what they've been through and what they had to endure. I mean, it's a wonderful experience for them to know they were never alone. There was
mhm,
somebody always around to watch that was there with them.
yeah,
So
yeah,
almost,
that's powerful.
almost like, like people, believe in God, he's there with you all the time. I mean, people are not alone when they're going through stuff. They need to know that there's people out here that can help them, and help them in a way and see things that actually can actually help them move from a situation that they're in. My thing
Right.
about my journey is helping people move on from the pain or the suffering that's going on with them,
Yeah.
or finding information that they never knew was even out there. So I have that ability to give them that information so they can actually look at it, understand it, and say, okay, that's really what happened. So
Hmm.
it makes them feel good, It kind of completes the puzzle.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it gives them closure too. That's really
Yeah.
important. As as human beings, we always need that closure. Um, and because you don't want to go on with carrying the or wondering. I think that that's so. It just it pains me when you see people like that, who are just constantly wondering, what if, what if, what if, and to have that closure is and to help somebody move on so that they can live their lives happily, because that's why we're here.
To
you
make
know yeah, that's huge.
Whenever I first started, I didn't know anything about it. But I was just learning, and it was just fun and everything. But I used to go karaoke all the time. I
Hmm.
like karaoke, so I would go to karaoke, and I would tell my friends, "Listen, I'm gonna go over there, and I'm gonna connect with that table over there. I'm gonna sit down and talk to those ladies." And they're like, "What? Are you crazy, dude?" So I go over and I sat down and I talk, and I said, "Listen, ladies, do you mind if I just try to connect? I had this thing going on with me. I don't know what it is, but I just want to see if I can, connect with you guys." So I would, I connect with this person. I said, well, I keep seeing a rose. I'm seeing a single rose on your back. It means something very important to you. And then she shows it, a single rose on her back. I mean, how shocking is that for everybody to experience that? And then that girl next to me, I said, listen, you need to talk to your mom. You need to talk to your mom. You got to quit fighting. And she's crying because they've been fighting for the last 3 months. And she said, yes, I'm going to go. I'm going to go back and talk to her. I mean,
Hmm.
to be able to see part of that experience, it's an amazing thing for me and for them too. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
beautiful.
So you get so much information for other people. Do you ever get information for yourself?
No,
No. Okay. And is it because you're not seeking it, or is that just not how it works?
well, I never connect with my family. So unless they want me to connect, that's just how it is.
Mhm,
People have to give me permission to look.
mhm, mhm,
Okay, so I go to a grocery store. I never look at anybody. I don't see anything. I don't feel anything. But if I go to a gallery reading, somebody sits down, please read me. I will read them. Or connect with my past loved one. I will connect with them. But I'm not going to connect with anybody, anywhere, any place. And I do the same thing with my family. I don't never tap into anybody's. I
right.
don't want to do that. I don't
Yeah.
think it's really right for me to. And I've tried it before. Let me tell you something. I've tried it before. Trying like the Teresa computer, going up
Mhm,
to people and stuff. It didn't work for me. I got
mhm,
nothing. I didn't connect at all. So they're like, well, dude, you're not very psychic. I'm like, I guess I'm not. So I stopped doing that because I looked like a fool. I was
yeah.
trying, I was pressuring my gifts to
Mhm,
do something, and
mhm,
it didn't work for me.
yeah.
So
I think it's also important for people to understand that and I don't know if this is true for everybody, but I think for a lot of psychics who I have spoken to, they can turn it off, or they can, take the dial. They can turn the dial down so that they're not constantly bothered. Um, And I think it's important for people to understand that, you're still a human being. So it's not like you can just go up and say, hey, read this, or what's this information, or, stuff like that. Like, you're still a human being, and it's just you're able to tap into a different frequency, as you were explaining,
right,
than most other people. And so people have to be respectful of that.
correct, 100%.
So yeah. So tell us, where can people find you? You mentioned a book. I don't know if we touched on your books actually. How many books have you written?
Well, I have 3 books. My
Okay.
first book, Paranormal Journey, One Man's Obsession, on Amazon and Kindle. Then my
Okay.
book is Awakening of a Seer. That's how I became a seer, all the stuff that happened to me.
Mhm.
And then my third book is The 11th Child, because I am the 11th child.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
and it's just, the third book is just kind of like, I just put my memories together of
Mhm.
every home I lived in, what I remembered. That's all it is. It's just basically from home to home to home to home, all my childhood memories, all the
Mhm.
way until I got to my paranormal book.
Okay.
So I want people to experience, what had happened to me.
Mhm.
There's some shocking things in the third book
Yeah.
because it happened to me. I mean,
Yeah.
some really crazy stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've written 3 books now. I'm going to be at June 6th. I'll be at Haunting in Real Town in Marketplace in Lansing, Michigan. August 8th, I'll be at the Capital City Paracon in Lansing. August 10th, I'll be at Flagstaff CreepyCon, which is getting to be really huge.
Yeah.
And October 15th through 18th, I'll be at Witches Weekend. And I usually do at Witches Weekend, I read people all day on Saturday. And then I on Friday, I have a ghost hunt right next door at the village. And Saturday, I have a ghost hunt, but I read people till 5 o'clock. And then on Sunday, I'm part of the actual, it's like everybody come in, they get like their palms read, and then we offer readings throughout the whole audience. So I usually do about 25 readings, which is kind of cool to go from boom, boom, boom. And it's like, it's just so much better. We used to just have one person read and then the person go up and read, but now we all go in the audience, just go and hit every table. So it's
Oh, wow.
so yeah, fun experience. So,
Yeah.
but
I have a question that just popped in my head. You mentioned you're the youngest of 11. Is that what you
yeah,
said? Or you're one of 11? Okay, so you're the
I'm baby
youngest.
11.
The baby. Does anybody else in your family have abilities? Okay.
Yeah, my mom has ability. She can actually read the coffee cup. She put coffee in
Ah.
it. She turn it, say a prayer, and then she can read the ups and downs, the light and
Mhm.
the darkness. My brother can actually read spoons. He will actually hold a lighter, and he'll have a whole bunch of spoons or a candle, and he will watch the flickering in the spoons. He can actually read things about or whatever, or what's going on in your future. And then my other sister can hold an object to her head, and she can tell where the object has been. So other people in my family has abilities too, but they kind of keep it to themselves. I just kind of like went the other way and wanted to get it out there, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you hear so often that it runs in families.
Oh, it does run in the family.
Mhm.
And the thing is, I know way back in our family, it goes back to Cherokee Indians, way back.
Mhm.
It's the way back, but a lot of my ancestors, they all, they had their medicine stuff. They all did their medicine. They lived in Kentucky and Tennessee, so they had all their little special ways of taking care of people and stuff. Kind of like an Indian, a medicine person and stuff. So they all had those remedies. My uncle was really interesting. I cut my foot one day, and then I come in the house crying in Kentucky, and Mom said, "Lay down, and my brother will take care of you." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "He'll take away the pain." He went over there and he said a prayer. He touched my foot, and I swear to God, took away the pain.
Wow.
So I'm a young kid. I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" It took away the pain. It was pretty amazing.
Jerry says her great aunt read tea leaves. Very cool.
And that's what we do at Witches Weekend. They read
Oh, you
tea.
do?
Yeah, they read tea leaves at Witches Weekend, so which is kind of cool.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Rick, thank you so much. It doesn't look like anybody has any other questions. So I just want to thank you for coming on or coming on again because you were on just a couple months ago on the panel. And so thank you for coming on again and joining us and having this amazing conversation. It was a lot of fun. And let me see, I did not get my spreadsheet out. I probably should have done that. Sorry about that, guys. Was running a little crazy. We just started our summer break, so it's been a little chaotic around here with us trying to figure out the different summertime schedule.
Sure.
It's been a little crazy around here. Um Next week, hold on guys, stick with me. I'm going to pull up what we have next week for everybody. There it is. Next week, we are going to have a presentation. The week after that, we are going to have a panel discussion on haunted playgrounds and children's spirits. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you check back in with us and catch those episodes because that sounds exciting. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. You can catch the replay of this episode on Facebook I think they're leaving it up for a week now, the lives. I can't remember. They're always changing it, but it is always up on YouTube. It will go live both on Facebook and YouTube as soon as it's done buffering and doing its thing. It will go live automatically on YouTube. The way you find us is you go to Ghost Education 101 on YouTube and you have to click on the live button. That's where you will find these videos. It won't be under videos, it's under live because that's just how it's listed over there. I want to thank everybody again, and we will see you guys next week. Have a great night.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
You're welcome.